Welcome back, everybody, to another week of the Take Two podcast. We are your Frame brothers. I'm Jameson Frame, accompanied by Reed Frame. We diving into all things NFL per usual. Happy Thanksgiving week to everybody. Got a full slate of games this weekend. Got three games Thursday, one on Friday. You got college football Saturday. You got NFL football Sunday. You got NFL on Monday. It is a good time of year. Lots of
Great
football.
time of year. Turkey Day, man. Turkey Day.
My three favorite things: food, family, and football. Can't go wrong.
It's a great saying right there. Someone put that on a t-shirt, all
Oh,
right?
that should be hung on a wall somewhere.
Somewhere. All right. This might not be football, but what food are you looking forward to being on that table come
Those
Thursday?
those mashed potatoes and gravy.
Mashed potatoes and gravy. It's a good
Oh,
one. I'm a big mac and cheese guy.
you can't go wrong there. Don't
Huh?
forget the pie either.
Pumpkin pie or apple pie.
I'm more of a pumpkin guy.
I'm a pumpkin guy too.
There
All
we go.
right.
They come to the
Back on to
NFL. They
football
stay
then.
for the food talk.
Yeah. Yep.
So diving into those games, I was just talking about. You got three on Thursday. Bears Lions at 11:30 a.m. That's Central Division time. If people that didn't know. Giants Cowboys 3:30 and Dolphins Packers at 7:20. Um that Giants Cowboys game, that might be the good old nap time for the after the big meal. Because that game could
That
be
is a good take. That is a good take.
I don't even Danny Tommy DeVito versus I was a Danny DeVito there.
Cooper Rush.
Cooper Rush.
Yeah, it's a rough game. But I'm excited for this Bears Lions game. It's a divisional matchup, and I feel like no matter how good a team is, every divisional matchup is good. Lions, again, I have them as my number one team in the league. I think they are the team to beat. They're the team with the targets on their back. Great roster. We've been over this. It's the Detroit Lions, right? And then the
Right.
Bears. The Bears, I feel like their team is a little bit better than their record. I'm nowhere saying to the Bears are this amazing team, but I do think they're a decent team and they will put up a fight against the Lions. Overall, I do have the Lions beating the Bears, but I think it's going to be a good team.
Do you have that as a close game, or what do you kind of think the point spread is going to be on that one?
I would say a touchdown. I would say seven.
So the line is 10 points. The Lions are 10-point favorites over the Bears.
Really?
They're giving them 10. I mean, I think that's even a stretch, especially with how the Bears have been playing the last 2 weeks with the new offensive coordinator or the new person calling plays, if you will.
hmm
Caleb Williams has looked increasingly better the last 2 weeks than he had previously. So I think
Yeah, I agree.
the, the only problem with that is the Lions are just so powered that they could just run away with the game at any point in time, right?
Yeah,
If
that's
they
the
if
Lions. Yeah.
they turn on the Jets, it could be a 21-point lead, and there's no looking back from that. So I agree. I think it's probably closer than the 10 points, but definitely not confident enough to put money on that.
I would agree. And it's Thanksgiving. I feel like I'm pulling up right now, but I'm looking at the past Thanksgiving games, but I feel like every Thanksgiving game, at least the Lions and the Cowboys, who are the two teams that play every Thanksgiving, I feel like those are always close games, no matter how good those teams are that year. They're always a close game.
I'd be interested to see the stats on that. I guess I haven't really thought about that too much.
I'm
Uh,
pulling that up right now.
Obviously, it's always a cool tradition that the Lions and the Cowboys get to play every Thanksgiving. Not sure how the players actually feel about that being away from their families and whatnot, but as a fan, it's a really cool thing to tradition wise be on there.
Yeah, something you brought families up. Quandre Diggs, when he was on Seahawks, of course,
Mhm.
Homer, me, I learned this, but he said that one of the reasons he didn't like Detroit is because of the Thanksgiving game. So that's just something to note. A little fun fact, I guess you could say. Just not, something I know.
They
There you
also
go.
weren't great when he was on the team though too, so I'm sure it's a
That
lot
is
more
also
fun
very
when
true.
you're
That's very
winning.
true. Yeah, that's extremely true.
Did you get anywhere with the stats from previous Thanksgiving
I'm
days?
I'm trying to find it right now. It's giving me like 1926 Thanksgiving,
Oh,
which
perfect. What do you got?
oh, I
What
didn't
happened
look
in the
at it. I
20s?
skipped over it.
Oh. While you're diving into that, so you have those three games on Thursday night. The games that I'm most looking forward to, like you said, the Bears Lions. That one could get out of hand. Then I'm skipping to probably Dolphins Packers. Kind of looking over that Cowboys Giants game. Could come to regret it, but it's just my opinion. You have the Raiders and the Chiefs in a sneaky division battle on Friday. This line is 12 points. The Chiefs are 12-point favorite of the Raiders, which is a crazy high number for the NFL. Not that it couldn't happen, but it's team winning by double digits points is it's hard to predict, if you will. The problem with the Raiders is they don't even know if Aiden O'Connell is going to be starting for him because he's dealing with some injuries. So they have to turn to what, Desmond Ridder? That would be painful. Or
Desmond Ridder.
they would you would think it'd be another layup for the Chiefs to sneak out another win.
These Chiefs, man, they just sneak by week in, week out. It's crazy. Carolina almost beat them.
They are the definition of all that matters is getting the W at the end of the day. Like they don't care about anything but their record at the end of the book, or at the end of the day.
Yeah. They don't care about even stats. All they care about is who has the most points on that board when the clock hits 0-0.
Yep. It's kind of it's
It's
interesting.
a
Everybody likes the stat book, right? Everybody likes to pat the stats and look back and say, "Oh, we had a dominant game. We had X amount of yards. We held them to this many points." Everybody likes to look at those numbers and be like, "These are the best teams because of X, Y, and Z." The Chiefs just, hey, we're just gonna win, whatever it takes. Doesn't matter how close it is. We're gonna win games. We're gonna get that home field advantage in playoffs. We'll see you at the Super Bowl. Like that's their
yeah.
mentality. Like that's
So and it's working for them right
it's
now. It's working.
it's hard to. I mean, it's easy to hate on them for it, but it's hard to not respect it. You know, the grind just to win the game.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Thanksgiving, the best I could find is records, all times records.
Okay,
Lions are 37 and 45 on Thanksgiving.
they've
So
been
they're
historically
negative.
bad though for quite a
That
while.
I also
That plays
brought
a
the
fact
first
into
thing of
that.
that. Dallas is 33 and 22 on Thanksgiving.
Okay,
Those are the main two teams that gave me the Bears and the Packers. The Bears are 20 and 15, and the Packers are 15 and 20.
okay. Little little snippet there, little stat for everybody. Fun fact.
Yeah, it's the
Um,
best I could find. Yeah.
as promised, we can dive into the kind of the NFL draft. We'll dabble into it a little bit. We've talked about diving into it more once the offseason comes around and kind of the draft order is set. After the East West Shrine Bowl, the Senior Bowl, stuff like that. Once we actually know who's gonna go declare for the draft and stuff like that, we'll dive into prospects a little bit more. As promised last week, for those who stayed until the end, we started talking about Shador Sanders, the Travis Hunter, kind of the whole Colorado situation in general. There's a lot of noise around them, just with Deion Sanders. You know, it happens. There's you also have Genty, who's in the running for Heisman. Travis Hunter and Genty are both kind of neck and neck, if you will. There's also some other awards that we can touch on, but first and foremost, let's start with Travis Hunter. Right, he gets the majority of the noise in college football. I feel like he's on the noisiest team around because of Deion Sanders, but he's also what the most versatile player we've ever seen. A player that can play both sides of the ball at a very high level at the college level. Um, First, what are your thoughts on Travis Hunter as a player? Two, do you see it translating to the NFL, or how do you see that playing out?
Um, I like Travis Hunter. He's a dog. I mean, it's never been done, right? A two-way player. You have to respect that. In the college level, high school level, we see that a lot. He was an amazing player in high school, number one recruit in his class. Yeah, craziest in high school. Commits to Jackson State. Odd for the number one guy. I agreed with it. He's working with Deion Sanders, arguably the best corner of all time. Clearly, that's worked out for him. He's playing two ways. In my opinion, he's a better corner than wide receiver, and I think he should go into the draft as a corner. I've said that before. But he's a crazy two-way player. I can't believe that he's going to play both ways. If you're a head coach or offensive coordinator and you have Travis Hunter out there playing both ways, and he's playing corner, Go throw in your third string wide receiver and just have him run fade route until he can't keep up. We're not going to throw the ball at him. We're just going to tire him out. He's got to run with them. And if he doesn't want to run with them, that's a touchdown, right? Tire that man out.
That is a crazy strategy I've never thought of. It does one of two things. One, I agree, it's going to tire out Travis Hunter. The problem is, two, you're basically taking away one of your 11 players on offense every play that he's on the field.
Now, here's the thing.
You're just saying if
What
I
is,
have if I
hey,
have
hey,
three wide receivers in route,
mhm.
screw the one guy because he's probably just going to be covered. Maybe what 2 out of 10 times you throw a deep pass to him and you get him open. But
So
other than that, you're
you,
eliminating him. You're like, I got a 2-man route now.
I can name you a pass play right now that has a fade route that he's rarely thrown to. It's called mesh,
Okay.
right? Mesh
Yep.
has a fade, and it's just two crossing and then a little hook over the center. If you know
Yeah.
the mesh concept.
Yeah. Running back sneaks out of the backfield.
Running his back seats on the backfield, and then you have a
Yep.
opposite side fade. That's where your fade comes in, and Travis Hunter's going to be on that guy most likely, right? You just switch it if they playing boundary corners or if they're playing man to man. You put whatever guy Travis Hunter's on or whatever side's he's on. That's the fade side. Make him run that fade route. You still got three routes or four routes technically. You have four routes to throw to. That's what I would be doing, and then called running. Um, what does a wide receiver normally do on a run play?
Usually tries probably like runs with them, if you will. I don't know
Either
exactly
they
what the
block,
technical term is.
either they block or it's called a run off. They run a fake
You
fade
know.
to try and run them off.
Yep.
Again, that's what we're trying to do, run them off. So either you have to do a fake stop and go or something so he doesn't realize it's a run, and all of a sudden now he's running with you and he's got to be tired out. So I really don't like, yes, he's technically speaking, he's doing his job as a corner and winning his one-on-one. He's taking a guy out of the game. He's taking their third, or in this case, their third string wide receiver if he's a boundary corner. He's taking that third string wide receiver out of the game, and now he's tired. Now he can't play wide receiver. Now he's not a threat on offense. That's a
I,
win in my eyes.
I get the theory and I like the theory. The problem with it is there's so many ways around that situation. One, you could just play zone. Anytime
Yeah,
he's on the field, you could just play zone or
but
a
are you gonna put him in the
variation of
flats?
man and zone. You know what I mean? You can couple people will
Oh,
be man, he could play zone, stuff like that. You could scheme around it, right?
yeah.
Two, you could just like only bring him in when you need to. So it's like a 3rd and 13. Like you can't afford to just have a guy running a burner, right? So
All
basically,
right,
bring
but
him in only big situations.
what I'm saying is he's a main corner and he's secondary wide receiver. This is stopping him from playing wide receiver. That's forcing him to only play corner.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Which I agree with. You brought up earlier that you think he's going to be a corner first with the ability to play wide receiver.
Yeah,
I 100% agree. I think corner is a more difficult position to play in the NFL. There's less elite corners than there are elite wide receivers, if you're tracking what I'm saying. So I think he'll start out as a corner. If he struggles or can't make it as a corner, he'll flip to wide receiver full time because he can do that. So he can play corner full time, but I see him only being used on the offensive side of the ball. One, if they just don't have great wide receiver depth, depending on what team he goes to, or two, if they're going to line up in multiple wide receiver sets, or big time moments where they need a guy to come up with a big play, they'll put him in there knowing that he can handle himself, right? I don't see him playing. I don't think it's possible for an NFL athlete to play both ways full time. The jump, the speed, the just the how good people are, it'd be too hard for him, right? So he's going to have to pick one to spend probably 90, maybe 75 at the least of his time on that side of the ball, with the other side being, 10 to 15% over there, something like that. So that's how I see him play it out. I think we're in agreement of that.
yeah, I
Um,
agree.
do you think he's going to be good in the NFL? I know it's very early.
I do. I think. All right, so as a just looking from an outside perspective, he went to college to be coached by I don't know what your opinion on for corners is, but I would say top
Yeah, of
lock for top three corner of all time. Deion
yeah,
Sanders is a top three corner of all time.
of course.
I personally think he's like one or two. We're not arguing about that right now. Deion Sanders was a really good corner, and now he's coaching Travis Hunter. Something's got to translate there. And Travis Hunter in college, he's locking people down. He's doing great, and I think it will translate. I think Travis Hunter will be good DB, and I think he'll be a great player in the NFL.
You have a team in mind you think he goes to, or you think he just goes first overall to whatever team has it? I can give you the current draft order if that would help you.
Yeah, give me the current draft
Um,
order.
so as things currently sit, Jacksonville has the first overall pick, then the Giants, the Raiders, the Patriots, the Panthers. I don't see him getting out of top five, so I'm not going to give you beyond that.
Who's after Jacksonville?
Giants, Raiders, Patriots, Panthers in that order.
So Dion said he wouldn't let him go to a team that would fit him. We don't really know what fits him. We don't know if that means like a big market team, like a
Right.
team that's in a better scenario than the other. We don't know if that means he wants the team to win. Again, he's going top five, so how likely are they to win? If we're doing real talk, if we're talking money, like they need a certain amount of money. I, with how most players are these days, that could be the case. Or we don't really know what fit means. Jacksonville, if he wants to win, I feel like is his best bet. Yes, they are one overall, but that team has a lot of jet or not a lot of young talent. Trevor Lawrence, I would say, is a mediocre quarterback. I'm not gonna glaze him because he went to Clemson. I love Trevor Lawrence. He's not bad, but he's not, I wouldn't call him good or elite. He's a serviceable quarterback. You got Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby, who are two pretty good running backs. They've kind of had Travis Etienne's had a down year. Wide receivers, I love Brian Thomas. That's your true stud guy. And I think that's where it would help Travis Hunter. He doesn't have to be relied on to play wide receiver. He can come in when needed, and that's what I think would help him. And they don't really have a star DB on that team. So I think that would be a great landing spot for Travis Hunter. So if Jacksonville is number one, I could definitely see Travis Hunter going number one overall.
Yeah, I think Jacksonville's probably the best fit out of these teams. The other one I could see would be Las Vegas. The problem with Las Vegas is they need a quarterback bad. And
They
if they're
need
going to be,
everything bad.
yeah, that's true. But if they're going to be picking in the top three specifically, they're probably going to pick Shador or Cam Ward, one of the two. They're going to get themselves
Yeah.
a quarterback that they feel like can be their franchise guy, a defensive back slash corner, or sorry, a defensive back slash wide receiver isn't high on the list for a team that doesn't have a quarterback moving forward. I mean, you see what they're doing this year. They're struggling with Gardner Minshew, Aiden O'Connell. It's not working.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
Raiders are definitely going to go quarterback. Um, he's not going to play for the Patriots and he's not going to go to Carolina, right? So I feel like Jacksonville is kind of the only real fit in the top five right now that makes sense for him to want to go there. Um, yeah, I mean, that being said, we'll see how the rest of the season shakes out, kind of see where the records are. I mean, it's very early to be going off of the draft order now, right? So there's a lot of
Sure.
winning and losing that teams have to do.
Yeah. Um, More on Travis Hunter. I just want to go over the award stuff.
Okay.
So Heisman right now, I'd say our two competitors are Genty and Hunter. Both great players. I'm a huge Ashton Genty fan. I might be a little running back bias as me and you were both running backs, so just love to see a running back doing good. Great year for Genty. I do believe Travis Hunter does deserve it though. Two-way player. He's an amazing player. Like I said, he's a dog. Travis Hunter should get the Heisman, and he's also a finalist. Going to be a finalist for Defensive Player of the Year. The one thing that's a little confusing is the Jim Thorpe Award. Is right now Travis Hunter isn't in like for the Jim Thorpe Award. If you don't know the Jim Thorpe Award, it goes to the best corner. That is Travis Hunter's position. Just doesn't really make sense to me that Travis Hunter would be able to get the DPOI, Defensive Player of the Year, but not the corner award at his own position. So there's a little controversy there. I've seen it all over like the internet and stuff. So just a little confusing to me. If you're eligible to be the best defensive player, how are you not eligible to be the best player at that position?
Do you know who is in the running for that Jim Thorpe Award?
I don't know who's in the running. I would assume like Will Johnson.
Will Johnson would be my guess. I don't have it pulled up, so I don't know. Just looking at rough stats, Travis Hunter has 9 passes defensed, 3 interceptions, and 1 forced fumble. Will Johnson has 3 pass defensed and 2 interceptions. Like that's a significant jump between Will Johnson, who I'm assuming would be the front runner for it. He's kind of this next best corner after Travis Hunter in the draft. Um, but yeah, that is kind of baffling to me that they wouldn't even have him in there. I don't know why that would be because they know he's going to win Heisman. Just a little little
That's what
inside
I'm
scoop.
guessing. Yeah, like did he already take home the Heisman? Is that what
Yeah,
we're
does
hearing right now?
somebody knows something we don't. Is this like a lock to put Travis Hunter as Heisman winner?
Easy money.
Yeah, a little fun. We skirted the system, maybe.
The Matrix glitched or something.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but a little touch on Will Johnson. I really like Will Johnson. I think he's the best man-to-man corner in this draft. Great player. And just corners in general. The best corner you can have is a corner that doesn't get his name called. I've said that before on this podcast. There's a lot of positions that are that way. I want my corner to never get his name called, and I want my offensive lineman to never have their name called. To me, if I never hear from them, they're doing their job. So if like yes, interceptions are good. I've touched on this with Duron Bland. Interceptions and pick sixes are good, but I'd rather them never get a pick and never get a pass defend and never let up any yards than get 20 interceptions.
No, I 100% agree. Those are the people you don't want their name called because it's usually a penalty or somebody calling them out because they're getting cooked all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Jumping back to Colorado because the one thing I wanted to talk on was the Shador Sanders, Deion Sanders, Travis Hunter combo, right? So we touched on Travis Hunter, great player. We think he's going to go early in the draft. Moving over to Shador Sanders. Now, there have been a lot of rumors and ties between Shador going to a team and kind of Deion following to be the head coach. More specifically, with Michael Irving and the Cowboys is kind of the rumor that I'm referring to. I don't see the Cowboys being bad enough to be able to draft Shador Sanders. Um, I think more likely the Giants are going to be a bad team. I don't think Deion is going to let the Giants select Shador Sanders. So I think the Giants end up going Cam Ward,
yeah.
looking for the
If
next
he's
quarterback.
where are the Giants right now?
Number two, currently.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yeah,
so
Cam
basically
Ward.
go Travis Hunter, Cam Ward, and then my landing spot, which is it's a very popular landing spot just because it makes a lot of sense, is the Raiders sitting at three, taking Shador Sanders. You have the connection between Tom Brady and Shador Sanders. Tom Brady is supposed to be making the decision on who their next quarterback is supposed to be, allegedly. Um, Shador Sanders has already said he would like to go to Las Vegas. It's kind of one of those connections that kind of makes sense. What I see taking place, and this might be a hot take, I'm not sure. Shador Sanders gets drafted number three to the Raiders. Antonio Pierce gets one last year with the Raiders. They somewhat struggle, and then they bring in Deion Sanders in 2026 to be the Raiders head coach.
Hmm. I could see it actually.
So I mean, I don't know if it's a hot take because it's plausible, but then again, it's like, is it how realistic is it that Deion follows him? A lot of people think he will, but also a lot of people think he's more fit for college, and which I don't disagree. He's good at recruiting.
I think he's fit for college.
Exactly.
I would agree with
I
that. Yeah.
agree, but I just feel like he'll wanna move to the NFL at some point. And that
Oh,
opening that
for
comes
sure.
up after the next year, it just makes the most sense.
But here's the question is, does Shadir Sanders and do the Raiders have a good year after drafting Shadir Sanders? Do they even need a new head coach? Like we don't know how good they're going to be.
I think they go probably around 500. I just don't know if they have the roster for it, depending on how the draft plays out in free
Yeah,
agency. There's a
again,
whole lot of unknowns and so hard to predict a next year's roster. My they're just kind of going off of this take that I have. I envision it kind of going. They have a very average season. Their owner's kind of getting um, disgruntled, but he also sees that Deion Sanders has the ability to come in and kind of do this whole drama thing, similar to like the Aaron Rodgers situation, right? You have the ability to bring in a big name guy and it's going to turn your franchise around. Whether it does or not is nobody knows, right? I just see it very plausible happening that way. So unless Antonio Pierce gets the playoffs and makes a run with Shador Sanders in this scenario, I think that's the only way he saves his job for next year.
I agree. And there's going to have to be a lot of work if you get Shadir Sanders. That's a quarterback, and you got Brock Bowers and a tight end. That's two good connections. I still think you need a running back, a wide receiver, an offensive
They have
line,
what, Jacoby Myers, and that's pretty much it.
a defense. They need a lot of stuff on
They
that
have a lot of
team.
holes.
Um, the team needs work, but Shadir Sanders definitely looks good in the future. Brock Bowers looks amazing. You got Max Crosby on the defensive line. You got stars to build around. You just need a little bit more. Can you do it in 1 year? I don't know.
No.
Go do some stuff in free agency. Go trade some guys. See what you can do. Knowing that your job is probably on the line. That's probably the advice I'd give.
No, I think it's fair. I think it's really true too. And I don't Antonio Pierce is probably going to be the coach on the hot seat going into next year. Him and maybe Brian Dable if they don't fire him after this year on the Giants. Kind of, hey, go get your quarterbacks, and then it's, hey, you got to start winning. We've kind of given you a grace period. You struggled last year. You guys came out. You said this is my quarterback. This is my guy. You're going to have to start winning and proving it to me. I think they're both going to be in the same situation going into next year.
I could definitely see that. Who would you say is in the better situation?
Probably Brian Dable. I think I like the Giants situation more. Their defense is in a better spot.
I would agree.
Their offense has some pieces. You have a star wide receiver. You have a really good left tackle. You have Tyrone Tracy, who's turned out to be really good. You have two younger tight ends who are serviceable. I think the Giants could make a quite a big jump with a good quarterback, more so than the Raiders could.
I agree. And just looking at star power, right? Raiders have Brock Bowers,
Mhm.
Max Crosby. It's really right. Then you jump over to the Giants. They have a lot of promise. You got Ryan Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau. You have Dexter
But I mean,
Lawrence. They
the,
have a
the
lot more
Giants,
star power.
I feel like the Giants almost have like an underrated roster. It's just that their quarterback and their offense has held them back.
I agree. Thinking about the Giants, I'm like, oh, I kind of like this roster. Like, I wouldn't be mad if I'm a Giants fan. Like, the future isn't. It's not completely black. There's a few flashlights in there.
We did both call out that the Giants and the Patriots were going to be battling for the first overall pick. We're not far off. The Giants are tied with the worst record, and the Patriots have only one more win. So as we come down the stretch, it's very plausible that situation could be happening like we predicted.
I agree. Now I'm gonna ask the same question: Patriots or Giants? If they're battling for the first overall pick, would you rather be? It's kind of like one
That's a
team
hard.
has
That one is harder for me. I'm
because so,
probably I'm probably still going Giants. Yeah, I'm still
but
going Giants. I like I
I
like I like Malik Neighbors
yeah.
over anybody, basically anybody on the Patriots offense. And there's a couple wide receivers. I feel like the quarterbacks are less questionable than the wide receivers in this top five. I'm
So
taking my Go ahead. Go.
the thing with the Patriots is they have their quarterback. Drake May has looked pretty good.
Yeah, you look
I,
great.
So they don't have the question of the quarterback. What they need is a better defense. They need better skill positions. They don't need that guy at the helm that can take the reins. They already have that. They need to
You
go
got to
get an
build
offensive
around.
line. They need
Yep.
to go get weapons. You got a promising guy in Jalen Polk. I like Jalen Polk. I'm a big fan of him. Looks like he could be a good wide receiver too. You still are missing that wide receiver one guy, and we kind of said that going into this year that hey, I think it was Jermaine Burton and Jalen Polk. We said, hey, one of these two guys is going to be a good wide receiver too, but you're missing your star wide receiver. Um, do you get that in this draft class? There's some potential. I don't know how familiar you are with the wide receivers.
Only
There's
the
some.
only the top two guys, are the only ones I'm
Ooh,
really, or sorry, I guess top three if you consider Hunter a wide receiver. You got
oh,
Het McMillan, Arizona, and then Luther Burton. Oh, I guess um
yeah,
Abuka,
from Ohio
Ohio
State.
State. I'm familiar with him as well. So basically, the top three guys I'm at least familiar with.
Yeah. So again, I like all three of them. I'm also a big fan of Isaiah Bond, Texas.
Texas, good.
I'm a big fan of those four. I like all four of those wide receivers. I think it depends upon your play style. If we could go through them, you got your I call him T Mac. T Mac is kind of your big guy, jump ball. I don't want to say DK Metcalf. He's not as fast as DK Metcalf, but he's kind of like that big guy goes up and gets the ball.
I've heard
Luther,
him compared to like Mike Evans as like a
yeah,
comp.
yeah.
Yeah,
Luther Burden is your Golden Tate.
that's a good
Um,
that's a good comp.
Yeah. So those are I'm a big fan of Luther Burden and Isaiah Bond. I like those guys that are deadly after the catch. Give me a slant route, let them go cook, do what they do. That's my what I kind of like. It's all personal preference. Patriots, I would say, hey, go get a weapon for Drake May and then work on that defense. Um, I want to say
So
Patriots. I like the
I guess
Patriots. I like
Patriots
the
wise,
Patriots.
which one of those guys you want the Patriots to get then? Who puts them over the top? Or not over the top, sorry. Who helps this offense become whole, if you will, out of those receivers? If
Out
you
of those
think,
receivers,
or do you think they not go receiver that early?
hang on.
Because they're going to
Uh,
need a receiver, whether they sign one in free agency. I mean, T. Higgins will be a free agent. They could go and get somebody like a T. Higgins.
I could see him trading back. Hang on, let me look at the Jalen Polk right now. Jalen Polk's a bigger guy, so I don't think they go T Mac. Then I think they go either Burden or Isaiah Bond.
They go with somebody under 6 foot,
Yeah,
like a
a quicker
slot guy
guy.
kind of thing.
Yeah,
They
Jalen
they already have
Polk.
like a Demario Douglas. He's kind of their slot. He's looked pretty decent though too. So I almost think they need to go bigger, like an Ibuka or T Mac.
I get to see an Ibuka actually.
Because then you have
I'm not
Demario Douglas in the slot, you have Polk as your number two, and then you have this guy as like your number one.
true threat.
Right. Like it's
I guess
plausible.
I'm just
If
not
you
as
don't,
I'm not as high as on Ibuka as I know he's like the number one receiver. He is good. I again not my type of receiver. I like the Bonds and Burden, and that's a slot guy. If you already have a slot guy, I could see you going T Mac or Ibuka.
he's an Ohio State wide receiver, man. You can't miss
That's
on
true.
taking an
You,
Ohio State or
you
an
got
LSU
like
wide
a
receiver, man.
you got like a Steph Curry shooting percentage with Ohio State. Uh,
And LSU, I mean, those
yeah,
two guys, you throw a dart and you're 90% of the time you're going to hit a good receiver.
you're hitting a three from half court like 90% of the time with those or
Kind of, it
something.
feels like it.
Yeah,
Crazy
yeah.
stuff.
That's here's the question: who's wide receiver you? You got LSU or Ohio
I
State?
say
I think
LSU.
LSU.
I think Ohio State has produced a lot of them, but I feel like the high level, you have Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson headline it for LSU. But then
Hmm.
you also have Malik Neighbors. You had Odell for a while. I mean, he fell off quick. He had a very short period of time where he was good, but he was really good. You had
Brian
oh,
Thomas.
I can't think of his name. Yeah, I can't think of his name. Jarvis Landry,
Hmm.
other guy that was really good. Like when I think of the place to get wide receivers, I'm going LSU first, Ohio State as like a 1B.
So now the thing I just noticed with LSU is they come in pairs. You
Mm-hmm.
got Odell and Jarvis Landry, then you got Jamar and Justin Jefferson, and then you got Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors. They come in pairs.
Mm-hmm.
They're like little twins.
Ohio State's almost done the same thing though too,
But
because
Ohio State
you
had
had Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson. Then you had Jackson Smith and the Jigba and Marvin Harrison. Obviously
yeah,
not the same draft classes, but the relatively close proximity.
and then you got Ibuike. And what? How do you say his name? I feel like we've been butchering his name.
I don't know how to pronounce it exactly, but it looks like Ibuka or Abuka,
Ibuka.
Ibuke, one of the two. I don't know.
The only thing that I know, I'm not very high on Ibuka, but I do remember that four of the all Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Marvin Harrison, and JSN have all said that Ibuka was the most talented wide receiver when they were there.
And they're saying that who's that freshman, the Smith kid?
Jeremiah Smith is a dog.
Marvin Harrison said he's going to be better, like far better than him.
Jeremiah Smith is a generational talent, in my opinion.
Smith
I'm
was
a
the kid
big
from
Jeremiah Smith guy.
who's the Williams kid from
Ryan
Tyler
Williams. Ryan
Ryan
Williams. That
Williams
kid's 17.
from Alabama. Those two guys are going to be like the future.
Ryan Williams is going to transfer this year, though.
You think so? To LSU or Ohio State, probably.
I think he goes to Oregon or Texas. I think he goes to Texas, goes and
Why wouldn't he
plays
go to
Arch
wide
Manning
receiver U?
because he has to compete with Jeremiah Smith. He doesn't want to go play against him or go compete with him.
Go to
He's a
LSU.
star.
I guess
Go to
LSU's
LSU.
quarterback situation isn't as
Yeah.
good.
He goes to Texas and plays with Arch Manning.
Oh, I forgot Arch Manning's going to be starting next year. That could be some fireworks. He's going to be a redshirt sophomore next year.
Yep.
I think he plays for. They'll have to play for two, huh?
I think he plays for two. But I think if Ryan Williams transfers to Texas, I think that is a nasty team.
That could be fun to watch. That's something I haven't really thought about. That's
Little college hot take from Reed. Ryan Williams transfers to Texas this offseason.
I like it. Write it down. We're all about hot takes around here.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know how much of a hot take that is. I haven't seen anyone say it, but maybe people agree, maybe people don't. We don't know.
Just all over the internet. You're just late to the party.
It might be. Maybe it's just not on my feed. I don't know.
Yeah.
Everyone listens to like, dude, this guy's just bandwagoning. No, I'm
He's like,
not.
oh,
I
he
didn't
just
see
led
it,
this.
guys.
He
I
just
didn't
quick
see it.
Googled, hot takes for college football. Number one comes up, Ryan Williams.
Yeah, but like Alabama hasn't been good, so I feel like he's gonna transfer out.
I could see it. Oh, so also losing Jalen Milroe. I don't know who their backup is, so
Me neither.
plausible. But he had a good year in him. He's kind of getting the recognition. I'm excited for him. Waiting, I'm already waiting 2 years from now when he comes into the league. It'll be cool.
He's gonna come into the league as like a 19-year-old.
Yeah, Braylon Allen.
Braylon Allen's 20. But you know what's he couldn't
Same
even vote
same
this year.
type thing. You know what I mean?
Brian Williams like couldn't vote. He was playing college ball and he couldn't vote.
That's pretty crazy.
That,
Making
that's that's
making
a
millions, you
crazy
can
thing.
vote.
Yeah, that's an insane thing.
Let me. You got any last comments? College, NFL draft, anything that you wanted to touch on before we jump back over to the NFL full time?
I got a hot take about Miami.
Let me hear it. Word here.
All right,
What
you
do
got it. Miami is this year's FSU. So
you?
last year Florida State
That's
had a
a
really good year.
steamrolled.
Had a really good year last year. Jordan Travis, they had an amazing team. They lost all their seniors, and now the team is terrible.
Mhm.
It's woo, and that's exactly what Miami will be next year. Losing Cam Ward, they lose a lot of seniors, I believe, and I just think it's a 1 year done. You go get a transfer quarterback, Cam Ward. Love Cam Ward. I'm a big Cam Ward fan. I think he's a great player. You got I think Restrepo might leave too.
I could
Restrepo's
see.
their like
I
one
think he's going
receiver.
to declare.
I think Restrepo definitely declares. So you lose wide receiver and quarterback. Not too familiar with the roster, but I think there's a lot of seniors. So I just think that's this year's FSU. They're going to do really good and then just crash.
Interesting. Write that down. Write that down.
A little hot take for college here.
We'll touch things. End of the season, we'll touch on the hot takes, see how they all panned out. We'll have a whole episode
Yep.
on this, figure out what's going on those. So jumping back to the NFL, one topic I wanted to discuss with you is two quarterbacks I want to talk about. CJ Stroud, how his season has gone, and then we can touch on Jaden Daniels. I know we talk about Jaden Daniels a lot. I want to touch on him the last couple of weeks though. So CJ Stroud, he has kind of struggled, I guess. He's definitely taken a step back. He's definitely in a sophomore slump season, which is sad to see, right? He had an insane breakout season as a rookie. He looked like a top five quarterback. That might be a bit of stretch. Top 10 for sure, pushing top five quarterback in the league with his play. His offensive coordinator came back. They added Stephon Diggs. There was all this hype around him. I bought in. I thought they were going to win the Super Bowl. They still might make a run. They're definitely going to make the playoffs, but I don't know if they have the firepower to win the Super Bowl anymore. I'm kind of a little skittish on that take as of now. What are your thoughts on just his play in general, and then the reasoning behind why you think he might be taking a step back?
Um, Go ahead with the reason right now. I think it's those wide receivers. You lost Stephon Diggs.
Mhm.
Nico Collins came back this week, I believe.
Either this week or 2 weeks ago. But I think it might have been this week. I think you're
I
right.
think he came back this week.
Okay.
So my reason for that is he just didn't have his wide receivers he started the year with. And now you could say, hey, his freshman year, or not fresh, his rookie year. Sorry, I'm used to college. Now that we've been talking about college, his rookie year, he had the same receivers. He had Nico and he had Tank Dell. You're right. He also didn't have Joe Mixon, if I believe correct. He didn't have Joe Mixon.
Joe Mixon was down for a while. He's been back the last couple weeks, and Joe Mixon's
I'm talking his rookie year. He didn't have Joe Mixon.
sorry. Yes. I thought we were talking about injuries. Last year he
Yeah.
did not have Joe Mixon.
So I believe that his rookie year they were a little bit more pass heavy. Like he had to throw the ball more. Now they have a run game with Joe Mixon. So there's been a lot of injuries on that team, and he's just not. They're not. I don't feel like they're running the same system or the same plays and stuff like that that he ran his rookie year. Yeah, I do think he did take a step back, sophomore slump, like you said. But I still got hope in CJ Stroud. I'm sticking with him. I think he's going to be a good quarterback in this league, and I think they still could make a run in the playoffs.
I agree. I agree with a lot of what you said. The biggest thing for me is he only has had 5 games over 250 passing yards this year, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. 250 yards is still a lot of yards to throw for, but it's kind of crazy that the standard now is kind of like if you're not pushing 300 yards, you're probably not having a good game kind of thing. You are correct. He's throwing the ball less than they did last year. It's a more balanced offense than they had last year, which I think partially plays into what they're doing, but he's also throwing a lot more picks. I feel like a lot of his throws are, I don't know. I don't want to know if, I don't want to say that they're misread because I haven't dove into the film that much. I don't want to throw that on him without diving in and actually know what I'm talking about before I throw something like that on him. But there are a lot of throws that look either off platform or something's wrong. The wide receiver and the quarterback aren't on the same page or too much pressure. A lot of things going on. It doesn't look great. It doesn't look as, oh man, I'm struggling to collective, I guess would be a good term. All the traits coming together. Looks like he's just machine, well-oiled machine, if you will. That was a really, I really struggled to say that, so I apologize. Um, I'm a huge CJ Stroud fan. After seeing him last year, I got onto the hype train. And was like, this guy going to be good. I think he has a bounce back season next year. The only the only thing I worry about is if Bobby Slowick takes a head coaching job or goes somewhere else, that could harm CJ Stroud immensely. If they bring in a new offensive coordinator, he has to learn a new system. Maybe that system doesn't fit his strengths as much as this one currently does. So I could see that maybe holding him back going into next year. I really hope not. Uh, but I really thought him and Bobby Slowick were just going to pick up where they left off. They got all this new firepower with Joe Mixon, Stephon Diggs, and Nico Collins kind of come into his own. So disappointing. I think they'll still be all right. They're still going to win some games. Their schedule doesn't look horrible the rest of the season. They have Jacksonville this week, which has a really bad defense against the
They
pass this
just are
season.
having a bad season, if
Yeah,
we're being
they're
honest.
they're bad. Then they get a bye week, week 14. They play Miami 15, the Chiefs, the Ravens again, and or sorry, not again, the Ravens, and then the Titans. I was thinking about a different team. He could get on a tear here at the end of the season, and the Texans could kind of collectively get the boat moving going into the playoffs and make a good push for it. So they'll definitely make playoffs. How far they go, yet to be seen. I think they're going to run into some hard teams that shut the pass down and they're going to struggle.
You did mention his yards. He's actually having a good year in yards. He's ranked fourth among quarterbacks
Passing
for,
yards?
yeah.
Really?
hmm
I suppose he did have the 2 weeks where he was well over 300. It's still crazy though. Like, you only have 5 games over 250 and you're what, fourth in passing yards?
Yeah. That fourth is definitely not bad. You're right. His interceptions are bad.
Right.
That is definitely the point where I'm like, hey, he's thrown 14 touchdowns and 9 interceptions.
That's not a good interception to
That,
touchdown.
that that's kind of like a Josh Allen type of
Yeah.
ratio.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. He is having a worse year. But I definitely think he will turn it around here, especially with that schedule. The Chiefs, they have a good record, but how close are those games is the real question. So I think he's going to have a good game. It's just the matter if they win or not. We don't really care about that. We're looking at stats. So I think every single game you named off is a good stat game for him. Maybe the Ravens are going to be the hardest game he plays.
Well, the Ravens have given up a lot of yards and just in general a lot of production from offenses. Their
Yeah,
defense has not been great. So I think he might pair them up too.
I could agree.
Jumping over to Jaden Daniels. We've talked about him a lot this season. He was the clear cut kind of runaway rookie of the year candidate, offensive rookie of the year, that is. He struggled the last couple weeks against Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, both two teams that have had really good defenses this year, so it's not that much of a surprise. Bounce back game against the Cowboys last week, no surprise. Their defense has kind of been
That game was
fluky, if
crazy.
you will. But that game, special teams wise, at the end of that game was insane. And then a
That
big play
kicker,
to Terry McLaurin at the end, and they missed the
that
extra
kicker
point.
needs to
Unreal.
watch his back, dude. I wouldn't be surprised if Commanders fans are like jumping him or like egging his house or
They
something.
just they just put him on IR. I think today, like earlier today.
Oh, his ankle was hurt or something. I don't know what his injury
Somebody
was.
jumped him in the
Someone was
parking lot.
wrong. Yeah, someone jumped him in the parking lot.
I think
Something.
I think Jaden Daniels turns it around to end the season. They got the Titans, the Saints, the Eagles again, which he might struggle again, and then Falcons and Cowboys again to finish off the season. I for sure see him having a good last two games of the season. Grant, if he plays that last game, I don't know how their schedule is going to shake out to end the season. So bounce back. It's just kind of a skid middle of the season. I think he'll be fine. He's still going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year, no problem. Not a doubt in my mind.
Yeah, I agree. Best way to describe Jane Daniels is a dog. I've been using that word a little lot today, but I'm a big Jane Daniels fan. Um, I agree with everything you said. He's not like top five in any stat, but he's just mediocre in every stat. And I also am not looking at rushing stats, but he's got to be pretty close to. I don't think there's very many other quarterbacks that are competing with him in rushing wise. He does run for -1 a lot. If you watch him, I think that's like the one takeaway I always have whenever I watch Jaden Daniels. I'm like, yeah, he scrambles out of the pocket looking downfield, and then he goes for -1 because he just runs out of bounds. Like,
Instead of throwing it away, he always takes like the -1 yard loss.
I'm like, it's one little thing. I'm like, yeah, I love you, Jaden Daniels, but why don't you just pitch outside? Like you're outside of the box. There's no intentional ground. Little just pitch. You just got to get ahead of the line. You're fine. You're not going for -1. Pitch it forward a little bit. A little critique of mine. I'm no NFL quarterback coach or anything, but I just
Not?
find it a little. I find it a little dumb that he just takes the -1.
I hear it. It is frustrating, especially from a fantasy perspective.
Yeah,
Like,
and
oh,
like, dude, come
negative point
on.
one, love it.
Yeah, yeah. But then he busts off a little like 10-yard rushing touchdown. Like, all
Oh,
right, this is why I got you.
you get pumped. You're like, "Ugh."
Yeah,
Oh, I
worth all the
definitely
-1s.
makes up for it.
Yeah. But with that, I think we're gonna bring this episode to a close. Talked a lot about college football today, which I personally like. I'm a big college football fan. Got a little knowledge, but if you agree with any of the hot takes said in this episode, disagree, whatever, leave it down in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.
Peace out, everybody.